So let me do that really quickly too. All right, so we're recording now. So a couple of things that are happening. Number one is the Blockchain Bash. This is an all-day event that's happening on June 16th. Talisha Shine introduced us to it. It is going to be near Philadelphia in a place called Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. If somebody's from around there, you can let me know that I mispronounced it totally. But the idea is how Philadelphians can use the blockchain technology in order to grow, or use the technology in order to enhance the city and things like that. They do have their website, blockchainbash.co, that you can go and see a little bit more about the agenda. Right now, their tickets are $170, but they have given us a $25 off coupon if you use the code Black Blockchain Consultants. It is case sensitive, so you want to make sure that you have the Black Blockchain Consultants with that B, B, and C capitalized. But originally they gave us $10 off, and I guess somebody talked them into giving us a better deal, so we got a better deal, and we get $25 off that ticket. The other thing is, if you're into Wacoinda, I don't know if you know this, but Lamar and Leif are coming to Wacoinda tour in Baltimore. That just so happens to be happening on the same day. That's June 16th, but that is just from 9 to 12 p.m. So, and the tickets are $5 to $50. The Blockchain Bash is like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I did not get that wrong. That's like literally an all-day event with, I think they have meals included in that. So if you want to go to either of those events, there's an Eventbrite page for Wacoinda. You just go to the Wacoinda page on Facebook and put in Baltimore, and you can find the Eventbrite page. So with that, I'm going to start off with our question of the day, which is, if your 72-year-old relative asked you, what is the blockchain, how would you respond? Again, if your 72-year-old relative asked you, what is the blockchain, how would you respond? And I asked somebody this question. I didn't ask them like this. I asked them, if you had to explain the blockchain in your own words, how would you do it? And it ended up being a very interesting discussion I had with this person, but it also ended up being very insightful that explaining the blockchain to a non-tech person is not an easy thing to do. We have 52 people here now. We have other people watching on Facebook. I bet if I asked all of you, each of you, to tell me in a way that a 72-year-old could understand what is the blockchain, most of us, including myself, would have a hard time answering that. However, if we cannot do that, we are going to be lousy blockchain consultants. So, one of the things that I am encouraging everyone to do is to think about how to answer that question. And there really isn't just one way to answer that question. There are a lot of different ways to answer that question. Tamiko, your hand is up. If you really mean for your hand to be up, I'm gonna make you a panelist. So just let me know before I promote you. So Tamiko Gregory, let me know in the chat if you really want to be a panelist tonight. I'd love to have you because I'm here by myself right now. But anyway, if we do not have an explanation for that, then we're going to fail. I'll be honest with you, we're going to fail to recruit people. Our people, Black people, are the hardest to get onto certain trends, and blockchain is one of them. I reached out to a friend of mine who has a popular podcast for other Black people. I wanted to talk about the blockchain, and he said, I don't believe in that crypto stuff, and I got shut down immediately. Now, I could go back to him if I wanted to and talk to him a little bit more, but we're going to get that a lot. unless we have a clear explanation for what the blockchain is. And within my business plan writing business, one of the things that I have learned is that I have to have a script for explaining how business plans are developed and created. And I have lines, just like your favorite actor or actress. So let's say Angela Bassett. I have to be Angela Bassett. If someone taps me on the shoulder 3 o'clock in the morning and says, Cherie, how do I write a business plan? I can tell them like that, like in my sleep. The truth is, for us to be great blockchain consultants, we got to do the same thing with blockchain. But the more and more I started thinking about it, the more and more I realized, and you can let me know what you think either in the chat or the Q&A, that we're probably going to need about 3 or 4 different explanations depending on who we're talking to. Because the blockchain is so diverse and so varied and has so many implications and applications depending on the industry and who's using it and what they care about, that no single definition will do. So one of the things I thought about as I was preparing for tonight is we've got to have multiple definitions dependent on who the person is and what we know about them. So I wanted to share, and I Googled like explain blockchain in easy terms, and let me tell you, the amount of, it's a decentralized software with nodes throughout the world that connect to each other, and nobody's going to understand that. But I did find 3 articles that I felt were okay for the explanation. And then I really feel like we as a community need to come up with our own great way of explaining what the blockchain is. So with that, Dwayne, I see you're unmuted, so please hop in.
Yeah, I that's so funny you said that. So while you go on and continue, I'm going to do a little research. I found something. I think it was a TED talk or something like that, but it was like explain blockchain to a 4th grader, and then to a high school kid, and then to a, so it builds, it gets more and more in depth, because you can't just go and say, oh, it's an immutable ledger. That's basically what it is, a mutable ledger that's decentralized. But if you don't understand all of that stuff, you have to make it like more simple. So I'll find that, and I think that's a good starting point. And I'm glad you brought that up. I wish I had spoken to you about that before, because that's something that'll be good for the educational part as well.
Yeah, well, it just came up a couple of days ago as I was speaking to this other person. I'm like, okay, well, we really need to have a conversation around that. So I found some articles here that I want to share with everybody. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So this is the first article that I found, and it is from Medium, and it's called A Simple Explanation of How Blockchain Works. And I like this section here, where it says, picture a spreadsheet that is duplicated thousands of times across a network of computers. Then imagine that this network is designed to regularly update the spreadsheet, and you have a basic understanding of blockchain. So what the author is doing here, especially for like an accountant or somebody like that does a lot of verification, is they are describing the fact that you do have these records, and everyone can see the records, and the records are on multiple computers, but he explains it in terms of a spreadsheet. And how, I guess, how the different spreadsheets are linked together. So again, it's overly simplistic, but it is a way for us to start off with a beginner that would understand how a spreadsheet works and how records work in that manner. The second is from an article called What Blockchain Is in Layman's Terms. And again, all this stuff in the very beginning is difficult to understand, but I'm going to read from right here. you can think of blockchain as a digital medical record. So this is for all my healthcare people. Um, every every record is a block which has a label stating the date and time when the record was entered. The medical history is extremely important for diagnosis and treatment purposes, so neither the doctor nor the patient should be able to modify the records already made. Nevertheless, the doctor owns a private key that allows him to make new records, and the patient owns a public key that allows him to access the records anytime. This method makes the data both accessible and secure. So the blockchain, by definition, is independent, transparent, and secure. So again, if you have a little bit more time to explain that to people, these are the types of things we should be practicing in terms of the explanation. Now, I think that something like this can be very powerful, especially if you're explaining it to people in the healthcare community or in any kind of digital record community where authenticating information is very, very important. But it's something I feel like you've got to practice it over and over and over again. And we as a community would have to practice it over and over and over again until we get it just right where somebody would say, oh my goodness, now I understand. This is the third article here. And then this explanation, even a 6-year-old can understand. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this gentleman was explaining the blockchain to a 6-year-old, and he talks about a magical village where a young boy named BC lived, and BC received a wooden toy sword for his birthday. And the story goes on to say that the little boy wanted to know where the sword came from and who owned the sword from, before him and before him and before him, and then what the raw materials were that went into the sword. And this magical thing called blockchain could tell him all of that information. So again, you could read through, he did a detailed story here. You could read through all of this. But at the end, he said, for adults, the basic explanation of a blockchain ledger includes the following concepts. It's maintained by every user on the blockchain. It's decentralized, meaning every user has a complete copy, and it can track the entire transaction history of any given item or currency. So he's saying here, that's how he explains what he as daddy does. So I'm going to hit the stop share here. And then the last explanation is one that I gave in my initial video for the BBC homepage, as well as one that I've used in public. And that is talking about Internet 1.0 being AOL and how the Internet got started, and then Internet 2.0 being Google and Facebook, and Internet 3.0 being the blockchain, and Bitcoin being Amazon. And that is a very clear, basic explanation for someone understanding the power of blockchain. So with that, Patrice Thompson, your hand is up. So please let me know before I bring you into the panel if you really want your hand up or not. Otherwise, put it in the chat for me if you want to come on to the panel. Dwayne, did you find that video yet? No? Okay. You're on mute.
I sent it to you.
Oh, you did?
In the chat. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that a while ago. I'll put up the description right real quick for you.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. So Dwayne here has blockchain. The key technology behind Bitcoin is a network that helps decentralize trade and allows for more peer-to-peer transactions. Wired challenged political scientist and blockchain researcher Bettina Warburg to explain blockchain technology to 5 different people: a child, a teen, a college student, a grad, and an expert. So I don't see a link here though.
Oh yeah, it's in your chat.
It's in my chat?
Yeah, it's in your chat. I sent it to you,
Okay.
but I'll pull it
I
up
got that
again.
one, but I don't see,
That was it. That was to
okay,
this.
this was
Did
it.
you?
Okay.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
YouTube one? Yeah, so it's about 17 minutes long, but I think it makes it easy, then it builds and then it
Mhm.
builds, and then at the last one is like a 17-minute video, but I remember the last one is like from 9 minutes to, like, the expert is the longest one. So
Okay.
it's really, the expert takes about 9 minutes of the whole video.
Is
So
this the one where she's talking to, I remember the little kid, and she's talking to the little kid about trading something with
right,
someone that she doesn't know? Okay, so I have
right,
seen it. I have seen it.
right.
Um,
So that was one of the
I,
first ones I remember looking at to learn this stuff.
yeah, so I think again, talking about trading something is like one application of it. Talking about wiring money is another application of it. So I think a part of it is figuring out about, like I said, 3 or 4 different ways of explaining the blockchain, and then pulling the explanation that you need based on the person
But
that you're speaking to.
based on, yeah, because I didn't hear you talk anything about trust, and this is a trustless system, and
Mhm,
that's the biggest thing about it, right? You don't
mhm,
need a middleman, so you eliminate a middleman. A middleman doesn't have to have this decentralization. There's no middleman to take any fees out of So I could trade with you, but I
mhm,
don't have to see what you have. Like,
mhm,
that's the smart contract part of it. Oh yeah, there's a smart contract part about it too.
mhm.
Oh damn, there's a
That's
lot
why
of
I'm
pieces to
saying
it.
that you can't just have one explanation, because one of the concerns that I have is if you try to tell everybody, if you try to tell a person everything about the blockchain in one like fire hose session, then they're going to get overwhelmed versus
Okay,
in this,
okay,
yeah,
but
versus, so
but so we're again. This sounds like a strategy meeting instead. But I think that we just have to make a different elevator pitch based on who's our primary target.
mhm,
Like,
which was, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
which was what I
So
was saying. And not just we as the BBC, but we as individuals that are going out talking about this technology and trying to recruit people. Because once people feel like, oh, this person doesn't really know what they're talking about, it's very hard unless they're like your spouse or something like that. It's very hard to get the audience again. Let's just say that.
well, let's say maybe we start the conversation with, "Have you heard about blockchain? Tell me what you know about it." So they can say, what do they know about it, and then you can pick out of your toolbox which
Yeah,
one you want to pick
yeah.
up.
I mean, sometimes people will know you as the blockchain person. So I spoke with somebody who works at a Fortune 500 company, and his boss came to him and said, "I know you're the blockchain person. What is blockchain? Can you come and do a presentation for me?" So
Oh,
you're going to get questions asked of you in all sorts of different scenarios. So the only thing I'm saying is if we're going to be evangelists for the blockchain, we do need to be able at a fundamental level to answer this at 3 o'clock in the morning after someone wakes us up and pokes us and says, hey, you know what's the blockchain? Just like with whatever, like you do healthcare, for example, there are certain things in healthcare that like the back of your hand, and you could explain to people at a moment's notice.
yeah,
So that was my only point with
yeah,
that.
yeah. And why
It's,
should they care?
and why should they care? Exactly. And the blockchain has so many uses and so many use cases and so many benefits that I don't believe you can have just one explanation. Unlike my business plan company, I use the same explanation for everybody because all of the elements are the same. When I started trying to formulate this for the blockchain, I realized I couldn't put all the elements in there. I have to choose one or two per explanation that I'm given. So Sydney is saying, OMG, totally agree. I have 10 different resumes based on the different types of jobs I'm applying for. We all need to be saying the same thing based on the audience and helps with the branding. We also should create FAQs based on the most asked questions. It's true. That's true. So what we're doing is we are creating our new website for our consulting company, and part of it is going to be the white paper makeover that we're doing, as well as some 2-page summations from different industries. So we do have that in the works. So with that, I want to go on to some other stuff because we're already at 1/2 here. But I hope you found that very, useful. And I'm looking forward to seeing people's responses in Flock in regards to this, because no matter who we are, we need to be able to respond to that question. So Eugenia had a very good analogy that she said. I don't know how many people watched Hidden Figures, the movie. It was a phenomenal, excellent movie. If you haven't watched it, it's a must watch. But one of the things that happened was Octavia Spencer, the character, saw the change happening with technology. And she went to the library and she got this book and she taught the women in her department how to code. And she taught them how to use the machine so that when NASA came to them, when the white manager came to Octavia and said, I know you know how to do this, and I know, your women in your department know how to do this. Octavia basically said, my girls are ready, we can do the work. And that's kind of where we have to be. Going back to the blockchain explanation, we have to be ready. And part of it is being ready to explain and to implement the blockchain. I'm not talking about coding, I'm just talking about strategy, but being able to implement when the United States turns around. Because right now, China's beaten us, Russia's beaten us, the Europeans are starting to get on it, and the US is really lagging in the investment that they're putting into the blockchain. When they figure out that this blockchain thing is serious, all of a sudden, the United States, the US government, as well as corporations are going to be spending a lot of money to catch up. So we need to be ready when they get ready, basically. So Dwayne, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, right, the traceabilities, yeah, supply chain, see, there's so many use cases. So I think that we have to start from the use cases, and then, like, I think we have to see somebody, yeah, Sydney, thanks. Supply chain, real estate. I was thinking healthcare, finance. I know traceability, like you can follow like where the origin of you can follow the origin of a piece of property, or a piece
Yes.
of Ben Chain is doing the RFID chips in and putting them in Louis Vuitton bags. So now, because the Louis Vuitton bags have been so fake that Louis Vuitton itself, you can take a fake one back to the store and they can't even tell us that it's not a Louis Vuitton bag, and people have been getting money for that.
Yeah.
So they want to be able to put the RFID chips inside of this thing, so you can say where it was manufactured, who owned it before this person, because you can sell them, and you can sell the bags. I mean, these things become expensive, so you can follow the history of the bag along with it. So RFID. So there's a lot of different things. So I think we would have to start on like just even listing the areas, like just listing the industries in which blockchain could really make a difference. I think that if we start there, then we can talk about some of the projects, some of the promising projects for each of those things. Like supply chain, you got VeChain, Origin Trail, and you have Walton Chain. Those three. And then you have ones for shipping. You have ones for like Cargo X. I think that was a good one. And then you can also say why you wouldn't use blockchain, because remember, it's not just everything that, just because you can put it on the blockchain doesn't mean you should have it on the blockchain. It just slows everything up. Sometimes centralization is good. So I think that's where we're going to add value in seeing, like, where blockchain should be used and implemented, and where it's just a waste of money.
Right. But the beginning is being able to talk to a non-tech person about the benefits, like you're saying, depending on the use case that they have. So somebody is asking, is their session being recorded because it's breaking up badly? For once, I don't have issues on my end with the breaking up. So let me know in the chat if we're having a problem. But yes, the session is being recorded. So I don't know. Um,
And you're on Facebook too, so.
yeah, people are saying no issues. Okay, yeah, because for once I didn't think I was having any issues. Um, so let's keep going then, because we have other things we're going to talk about this evening. But I did want to bring that up, and like I said, I'm curious to see what people are going to say in flock and what we eventually come up with. And of course, Dr. Keisha is leading our school, and we're going to start having weekly meetings in regards to putting together the curriculum. So it'll be interesting what we come up with in that education product committee that we have. So just want to explain a little bit about BPC and who we are for anybody that's new. Welcome. So we are a peer-to-peer global network organization. We understand the significance of the fact that blockchain is expected to be a $3.1 trillion industry. We are here to get our cut. We are here to make money. And we are also here to do great within the Black community across the world. So we're using our collective skills and network and resources, and we are going to build some multi-million-dollar and hopefully $1 billion organization from the people that are within this organization. So our meetings are every fourth Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to join our inner circle, we would welcome that. So anybody could join our Facebook. We are on Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. But if you want to be a part of our inner circle, you get a couple of other things. Number one is we take courses as a group. So the CBE course is a certified blockchain expert. Right now, we're taking that course, or we have, most of us have finished it. We took it under Blockchain Council, but our organization is starting its own school called the Center for Blockchain Studies. So we're very excited about that, being led by Dwayne and Dr. Keisha. We are also looking at some of the top 20 white papers and looking at how to analyze white papers. We're also going to hopefully start taking some classes on smart contracts as well. So we have that, and then we have study groups. We have people that get together and talk about white papers and smart contracts and other types of courses that they're taking. And we do apprenticeships, and we're ultimately starting a consulting company so you can get real world experience and also eventually get paid. So all of that should equal success in you being able to break into the blockchain consulting industry. And there are a lot of non-tech people that are making money within blockchain. Once you have a fundamental understanding of what blockchain is, you can take your knowledge base, add the blockchain with it, and bring that together in order to make money. So there was a guy, Chris Henry, that came on last week, and he said there are website designers that are going to these blockchain meetings and getting paid top dollar once they network with the right people to redesign websites for blockchain-focused companies that are doing ICOs. Because branding, for example, is so important with these companies. So anything that you can imagine, these companies are going to need. Dwayne, comments about that?
No, that's good. Yeah, I was working on the list.
Okay. So we have 3 apprenticeships as well for people who have not been in flock. The first one is the Jarvis apprenticeship. Victor Yekepolo, I learned that this weekend. Yekepolo is going to teach us how to test the wallet for the Love Coin. So if you want to get a little technical, I'm even going to join that one. You can participate in that. You have to be a part of the inner circle, and you sign up for it in flock. Then we also have Negus, that is run by Yusuf Ali. We're going to write the white paper for his organization. So if you want to get into writing white papers, there's a gentleman that I'm bringing to our conference in November that charges 10 grand to write a white paper for a company. And he is booked, and he's a Black man too. So this could be a way for you to make some money with the blockchain. And then the third is the Scrota apprenticeship. The entrepreneur is Christian, and the task is to help him launch his initial coin offering. So we have opportunities all across the board for people to get involved with the different apprenticeships that we have going on, so you can test the water. So that's, again, part of being in the inner circle. I also want to talk a little bit about our consulting company. So we have a group of about 12 of us that have been getting together to do the strategic planning for the consulting company that we have. I'm super excited because we have decided on what we're going to do in terms of like our we call it secret sauce, for example. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that have an idea, but they don't know how to build a business. What we're going to do is take a company from concept to $100 million plus enterprise. And if you look at the circle here that we have, the business owner and the developers are in the middle. But we're going to do everything around that business owner and his or her idea, including the ICO consulting, the branding, marketing, and sales, the recruiting and human resources, which I was said we should call it the people department. I think Tawana has suggested accounting, legal, employee training, fundraising, any and everything that's not technical that owner needs in order to build a $100 million organization. Those are the things that we're going to be doing. I'm going to talk a lot more about our consulting company on June 11th at 8 p.m. So you want to tune in for that. Now that will not be live streamed, and it will not be for public consumption. Only if you are an Inner Circle member and you have access to Flock will you be able to see this specific drill down in terms of how we're setting up the consulting company. So if you're not a part of our Inner Circle, but you really like the idea of helping entrepreneurs get to a $100 million valuation, you should join the Inner Circle and become a member of the Black Blockchain Consultants and, you know, see what we have going on. So, Dwayne, anything to say about that?
No, I think it's great.
Okay.
I think that you got that under control. We started working on putting this other piece together. Like really, I'm just excited about like really looking at the different industries. Like this is a good meeting. I like this one. I wish I had spoken to you before this meeting had started. Because the whole thing about the industries, if you really think about the industries, and there are people tackling those things, like certain things, like, you know, like in the supply chain area, we were just thinking about V-Chain and Origin Trail and Walton Chain, like those three companies. If you really read those white papers and really understand what they're doing, then when you talk to somebody in supply chain, you can talk about how these things are helping it and how those companies actually could help them implement it, even if they want to do their own blockchain, because there's also blockchain, there's blockchain as a service. Remember that's coming as well. So, and people don't want to deal with this. I mean, I just watched JP Morgan just hired some 29-year-old kid. It's like, okay, we need crypto. Okay, guy, you do it.
Yeah, well, JP Morgan Chase, I think they hired a full-time crypto department that's, you know, just for figuring out how to deal with the assets. And I do know that another group, when I was part of I'm still part of the blockchain stock research group, I want to say it was maybe JP Morgan Chase as well, or one of them, they started hiring blockchain analysts to do like blockchain specific research papers for them. I guess because their rich clients were like, what do you mean you don't know about the blockchain and you don't have any, any information in regards to that? So yes, so there's a lot happening here. So, and then the final thing, of course, is our conference, the Black Wealth Blockchain and Crypto Conference. Is going to be in Baltimore, November 2nd and 3rd. It's $99 for both days, and it's going to be us as well as Biggie, which stands for the Blockchain Investment Group International. We're going to be the sponsors. Yes, this picture is what it really looks like.
Wow.
It is a gorgeous hotel. You will not be disappointed. Friday, on Friday, it's going to be 9 to 5:30. There's no charge to attend on Friday as long as you purchase a ticket for Saturday, which is $99. So the way that it's going to work is we're going to take a business from concept to $100 million. And we're going to basically do a strategy and outline how, not only how, but do a case study of taking this company from concept all the way to $100 million, and what would that look like? So it's for anybody that's interested in one of our consulting, in being part of our consulting team. If you want to be a six-figure consultant, if you just want to go through strategy. The reason why I like the $100 million mark is because that's when it makes it interesting to companies like Google and Facebook. And I personally have a feeling that Google and Facebook is going to start buying up these blockchain companies that have their ICOs out there. That's just me. But we're going to talk about that whole process. How do you get the company from 0 to 100 million? And I checked CoinMarketCap. The companies that are over 100 million, at least on CoinMarketCap, are the top 100 cryptocurrencies that are out there. So there will be no live stream for November 2nd. If we record it, then we will record it for inner circle purposes only. But there will be no free live stream for Friday's session. So you want to be in the place if you want to get this, because this is going to be an excellent, excellent day. Again, the Friday discussion is going to go from concept to ICO to break even, meaning that the company is starting to make some revenues, to profitable, to cash out. How do we take a company from here and move it all the way over here? Because that's going to make us valuable as consultants when we're able to not only explain that process, but actually outline it for an entrepreneur. So that's going to be Friday. It's going to be a really good time. Saturday is going to be our general session from 10 to 6:30. It's $99 to attend, 350 seats. The first session is going to be about blockchain and crypto in the Black community. So just an overview of Blockchain 101 for your blockchain curious friends, a little bit of information about crypto, what are the use cases, and more importantly, what are the use cases within the Black community and how can we as Black people leverage this technology to get ahead. Then the second session we're going to have that day is about meeting 3 successful blockchain consultants. And I've gotten yeses from all 3 people. The first is Chris Henry, who we met last week. He's coming. The second is a gentleman that makes $10,000 writing white papers, per white paper. His name is Samson Williams. And the third is a woman who is an attorney, and she's a blockchain attorney that helps with ICOs, and her name is Maureen Murat. So I wanted to bring people that aren't in our community, like in our inner circle, for you to meet as well, that are currently doing big things so that you could be inspired, and everyone within the audience can be inspired as well by what they're doing. The third session is going to be about investing in the blockchain. So Biggie, who's our investment club, is going to be talking about analyzing an ICO, how to pick a good blockchain company to invest in, things like that. Session 4 is what Dwayne's talking about, the use case roundtables. So we're going to have different blockchain consultants, us, BBC members, heading different roundtables where we're going to talk about the use cases within the blockchain in those industries and some of the big projects that are happening. The whole idea from this day is for people to walk away and be able to go into their boss's office on Monday morning and wow their boss with what they learned that's specific to their company. So, and then following that, we're going to have a networking reception, and sessions 1 through 3 will be live streamed. The use case roundtables will not. So, and the roundtables is where you get to really meet people that you could team with in order to do various blockchain projects. So, use case roundtables, we have 16 listed here. I'm going to try to get some more space because I was talking with somebody about this and we just kept writing different use cases, but everything from healthcare, HR, entertainment and sports, real estate, financial services, education, government, social justice, accounting, transportation, legal, nonprofit, cybersecurity, ICO consulting, marketing and digital advertising, and energy. So we're going to have a lot of different options for people to choose. And if there's more than one roundtable you want to go to, you go to one, and then we're going to have 2-page summations for every roundtable. So you can just pick up the information for the other roundtables that you have missed. Our big goals. This is a big marketing drive for us and membership drive. So my big goal is another 300 to 500 BBC members and 10,000 people watching the live stream. So if you have somebody who is blockchain curious, but they can't come, tagging them when we have our live stream come up is going to be one of the best ways you could help us getting the word out. And the tickets are going to go on sale on June 30th. So mark your calendars now, ask for time off now, buy a ticket for you and a friend or family member. You can buy 2 tickets when they go on sale. And we have Raymond Shorter, who is going to be he's going to head our committee for doing the event marketing. He's our interim marketing manager for the BBC. So we're looking for any like Black wealth groups or any Black community groups, especially in New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Philly, DC, Virginia, or Baltimore that we can link up with. I'm also looking, as you know, for a volunteer coordinator. I need 8 volunteers for setup and ushering. I need a training team for November 2nd. I need roundtable leaders. I need a social coordinator like Julie from the Love Boat, and I'm still looking for the t-shirt designers that want to put their t-shirts up. The deadline for the t-shirt design will be July 31st, and then we're going to have everyone vote on what t-shirt we like, so we have plenty of time to order. So that's it. T-Mac, I see your hand is up, so if you really mean for it to be up, please let me know you said yes. Okay, I'm going to promote you to panelist here. We've got a couple of questions here. Tony's asking for the name of the hotel. It is the Lord Baltimore Hotel, Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, there is a block of rooms. The room rate is going to be $125 a night, and you are also able to share a room as well for $125 a night if you have somebody that you want to share a room with. So on June 30th, when the tickets go on sale, I will make sure that everyone has all the information that you need to reserve your room. The parking is going to be $10 a night. Yeah. So, and of course we need various volunteers. And Tawana's asking, can you share the slide deck with us on Flock? Yeah, I'll do that. So Terrence, let me unmute you, or you may need to unmute yourself. There you go. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
Good.
Good. So I was, I think one thing that a little concerns me is that we're eliminating the technical portion where we might have expertise in the group. We have people in technical project management, we have people who can write requirements. So just to give you an example, I've done some consulting globally. And one thing I do is sit down and see what the customer wants. then I write down requirements, and I can plan out what type of resources needed, and I would write, even if we don't have the developers, we could write a statement of work. And I know for instance, there's a former Google executive. He's created several different apps, and he doesn't actually do the work himself. He finds out kind of vision what he wants to cover. He writes a statement of work, technical requirements. He puts it out into this system where different developer groups can bid on it. So there seems to be a high concentration in the Ukraine area, and they've been, very professional, and he's had a lot of success. So I don't think we should quite be, just take out the technical portion.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to, so we've been going within the strategy group, we've been going back and forth about, do we add developers, recruit developers, and I've been getting a lot of private text and phone calls about that. The concern was with more so the developers than it was with technical program managers. So I absolutely agree with you. And if there's a way for you to train other people on doing something like that, there may be people who are technically inclined, but they don't want to be developers. I happen to know people who like technology, but they don't want to be a developer. So I don't think we overlooked it. I think that we have a call coming up with Block Geeks, with the Block Geeks CEO. So I want to see if that is maybe a recruit. I'm sorry?
You mentioned Block Geeks CEO.
No, Block Geeks.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I don't think we necessarily need to have a developers in the group, but we should have the capability of writing requirements, either requirements or technical requirements, and pass that package on. I think you add more value to your customers if you're able to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The technical requirements, like you have to be able to talk to these developers. That's what I was saying. Like what Terrence is talking about. Like I use TopTal. I use those guys, and me doing the coding boot camps and stuff like that, I found that it was a lot easier for me to write the technical, because you just think that you got to do step by step by step by step. It's a scope of work, and if you don't really understand what they have to do for this scope of work, they're just going to do what's on this piece of paper. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, we needed this and we needed this. And then you got the scope creep. Right. So that's the whole thing. That's why I said, yay, let's do this Python thing. I know it's a little technical. I get it. It's hard. But so what are you thinking, Terrence? You thinking more of a PMP kind of deal, like doing more of that?
That's part of it. And you mentioned a very important aspect, which is scope creep. If you're going to sign up to do a contract, you have to draw fences around it. So typically the fences are your contract, and you have a technical requirements document, and you would have a statement of work that tells who's going to do what, who's going to provide what service to what, and you agree to that with your customer as a set of requirements and deliverables. And the way that you show that you've completed the project is that you can check the boxes off on all those. And so that's something that we had a capability of doing. It doesn't require a lot of technical depth. And for instance, for the developers group for the Jarvis ICO, we write like user stories. The user wants to have a wallet. It's going to run on this platform. It's going to do this function. And then when you do what's called your verification, you check the boxes. And for instance, there's some quality assurance that comes in, and that's probably going to be the role of one of the apprentices. They're going to go down the list that we created. Does this have any adult content? No, it doesn't have any adult content. So therefore, it can be listed on the different stores. And so it's basically, I think it's very important to get the customer's needs and the requirements up front, because at the end, when you finish the contract, you need something to baseline it against.
I think I'll talk to Terrence more on this. I mean, you and I do a little Facebook stuff here and there. So I think this is a good conversation for us to have offline, and then I'll bring it back to the strategy group, because thank you for bringing this up, because I didn't even really think about it. There's so many pieces to this, but if we're going, like, he's absolutely right. If we're going to show value add, the customer doesn't know. It's up to us to translate that into, like, we're the liaison between the developers and that's why we get paid all the big bucks. It's like, basically they're going to be paying us, what is it? using their watch to tell them the time. That's what they call consultants. But we gotta, when they're paying us all this money, they don't want to have the back and forth. If they tell us something, we're supposed to know what they're going to need.
Right.
Like,
so I think you may end up with, and again, this is something that can be discussed offline, but it's good to have a little bit of it here. I think you're going to have different types of entrepreneurs that come to us. And one of the things we talked about, and Terrence wasn't a part of this specific conversation, is we're probably only going to take about 3 to 5 new clients a year within this consulting company. So we get to be very specific about the people that we bring on. I believe if you're going to do this right, there needs to be a class in the school that talks about, so that every technical statement of work piece that we write, has the same, I don't know if it's a formula or what. I don't know enough about this, but I am saying that everything that we're doing, we are modeling the Deloitte PwC model, where we're going to have very, very extensive training so that everyone is, working at a 10 with every project that we're doing. So I just would want to turn this into a course. That's, I guess, at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. If we're going to do it, it needs
I got this. This is good. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you for bringing this up, man. We'll talk again or offline.
And I don't mind contributing, as far as template.
No, I know you will. That's why I'll call you up. I'll hit you up.
Yeah, and we'll talk as well, Terrence. Thank you so much. Okay. Do you want to stay on this panelist, or you want to be hidden again?
Maybe I talk too much, y'all. I might want to get me off.
No. You don't talk too much. We have a couple of questions here. Crystal is asking, how do you join the inner circle? Crystal, I sent you an email a couple of days ago. I did see your email, but you email me at info@blackblockchainconsultants.com, and I will send you all the information that you need in order to join the inner circle. And let me know if you didn't get my email. Talicia's saying, I'm a business analyst, so what is being referenced would be business and functional requirements. So I guess you're talking about what Terrence is talking about, doing the statement of work.
There's a whole discipline called systems engineering that kind of deals with that. Deals with different sets of requirements, how they trace back. So that's something, offline I could, talk with Dwayne about, and I could pull together some information if anybody's interested in checking it out. I don't even mind, kind of training people in it. I've been doing it for like 20-something years, mostly in aerospace and defense. I worked in automotive, energy, and most of it's been international, from working in Brazil, Europe, China, Japan. So I'm used to going to customers, hearing their needs, and making sure that we're able to meet those. And once you establish a baseline, anything outside the scope of that baseline, they basically get charged extra for.
Okay.
So it's a way to draw fences around your effort. Otherwise, it can keep going on and on and on. You have everybody agree up front to what you're going to do and what you're going to accomplish.
Okay. Well, yeah. So one of the things we're doing is we want to go on and on and on. So the Crystal's question here is, why be restrictive? I guess in terms of we're going to do 3 to 5 a year, is because we want to do a deeper dive into fewer companies. If we are, 300 consultants, for example, and we're doing the accounting, and we're doing the recruiting, and we're doing the legal, and we're doing everything for this company that's growing to $100 million, and we've got 3 of those a year being added, that's going to add up to full-time jobs for us very, very quickly. And what I want to do is, and the team and I are still talking about this, but I want to have a monthly retainer for us and equity in these companies. So that way, when they sell, if they sell to a Google for, $1 billion, we get our piece. So that's really what I'm aiming for. Crystal's saying she meant, why are we being restrictive about developers? So great question. So there is a lack of supply for developers in the blockchain space. And if we market that we can provide developers to these projects, that is going to be extremely difficult to do, versus we can provide everything else and have people come to us that either are already developers or have development teams. So one of the people I'm thinking of is Christian of our Scrota apprenticeship. He is a developer. His brother's a developer. They know all sorts of developers. They don't have any of the other aspects of their business in-house. So the thought is to bring on 3 to 5 of that type of guy that already is a coder and who, you know, has coders around him, and we build the business around that. So that was the reason for that. So it is 9:01. So we're going to wrap it up. Terrence, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give us any last words you have.
I can go on forever, so that's okay. But thank you. I appreciate they giving me a chance to address you know, some of my questions.
Sure, absolutely. And if you have more, you know, so we are still accepting information and suggestions. So please feel free to reach out to me. I don't want you to feel like, I don't want anyone to feel like they can't reach out to me. It doesn't mean we can necessarily do everything. Sometimes there's a reason why we can't, or we choose not to because of the long revision. But I loved your suggestions, so thank you. Dwayne?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a good, I'm just proud of you. I mean, I haven't been, like, I've been on the mining stuff. Now I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back from the mining world. I'm back from mining. But yeah, I'm proud of you. You've gotten some stuff. So I feel kind of like I'm ready to push through this month so I can get a lot of good work done with Keisha. So
Cool. So we have some big deadlines between June and July as a group so that we can get everything set up so that August, September, and October, we're going to do a massive, massive push for our conference. But we want everyone to know now that that's happening. So just, you know, put it on your calendar. And going back to the initial question I asked, if you had to explain blockchain to a 72-year-old, how would you do it? Or just a non-technical person that you're trying to get to understand what the blockchain is. So interested in seeing your responses in Flock. And Dr. Keisha saying, yes, so we have a BBC education meeting tomorrow. It's at 7 p.m., I think, Dr. Keisha, let me know. But we are putting together the content for our own CVE course. So if you are interested in participating in that, one of the ways we're going to make it culturally relevant is by using culturally relevant examples within the course. So Dr. Keisha saying, yes, 7 p.m. Great. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. and actually every Wednesday, 7 p.m. from now until about the end of July, we're going to have these weekly meetings, Wednesday, 7 p.m., because we are creating our own CVE course. And then after that, we are going to be creating other courses as well. So we're going to be a multi-million dollar consulting company. And we want everybody to, who, you know, can participate and does the training to do so. So, all right, that's it for me. It's 9:05. Thank you so much for giving me your evening, and I hope everyone has a good week. And I'll see you in Flock. Take care.
thank you.
Bye.
Good night.